Welcome to the Open Door Podcast, your key to exploring the vibrant tapestry of real estate, lifestyle, and community in the greater Boston area.
Join us as we unlock the doors to captivating homes, delve into the essence of local life, and weave through the rich threads of community stories. I'm Melanie Gundersheim.
And I'm Margie Gundersheim, and we're thrilled to be your guides on this journey. Let's swing open the doors to Boston's dynamic landscapes and discover the heart behind the people and the places.
This is the Open Door Podcast,
where homes, lifestyles, and communities converge.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Open Door Podcast.
It's so good to be together.
So today we're going to talk about burnout and mental health in entrepreneurship, which a lot of people do talk about, but, you know, in the spirit of being authentic, you know, we don't want to just paint the picture that being an entrepreneur is just this roses and sunshine, handy dandy, easy thing. And some days it feels that way, but sometimes it really doesn't. And I have been struggling with that recently, of really trying to set boundaries and find ways to take care of myself while working 7 days a week. Because in real estate, that's what you sign up for. And it's not in my nature to complain. It's not in my nature to be negative. So having these feelings is super uncomfortable for me because I'm very much so a glass half full, you know, kind of person.
Mm-hmm. Really are.
But sometimes you just hit a wall, and
you're human.
I'm human, and I'm kind of in a place where I feel like I'm really putting 110% of effort into all avenues of my life, and things are just, you know, I'm just working really hard right now, and that is not a bad thing. But I have learned the hard way that, as everyone has, that you really do have to carve out time. You have to carve out time or do things to take care of yourself, or else it's just going to spiral and you'll have a few mental breakdowns, as I have recently. So today we want to, again, just kind of talk about that and what that means for us and how we combat that, because I think we might have similar and different ways of doing that. And for anyone listening, would love to kind of see your comments or, you know, reach out to us and let us know how you handle these kind of things, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. So you want to kick off?
I mean, your breakdowns equal just a massive crying fit, basically. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes just crying it out, you know, feels so much better.
I know.
And I was listening to a podcast recently, actually, that you recommended. It was the Ed Milet podcast.
The Ed Milet
and
show.
The Ed Milet show. And he was talking about overcoming mental blocks and low productivity. And he described that there are 4 Ds that feed into all of this. And the first D that he talked about was discouragement. And he said that, you know, if you imagined, you know, somebody or something that was always out to get you to not be performing at, you know, a level 10, these would be these 4 Ds are the things that are going to try to get you every time, and
like the devil on your shoulder kind of thing,
sort of thing, right? And the first one he talked about was discouragement. Because when you're discouraged, you know, all these other feelings come into play. And sometimes you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, or you second guess the way you're doing things or approaching things. And, you know, in real estate can be discouraging for our clients in particular. So we're dealing with how they're feeling.
Right. We're taking on their emotions.
Exactly. A lot. We're both very guilty of that. Which makes us, I think,
better
good real estate
right.
professionals, but also it's hard. So how do you deal with discouragement, and what kinds of things do you do to try to pull yourself out of it?
It's a great question. And it's good for me to reflect on this out loud, because I think one of the first, or at least for me, one of the first things, discouragement to me feels like hopelessness. And sometimes I notice that when I start to feel those things, it kind of puts me into the, how do I say this? I don't want to swear. Into the like tossing in the towel, like really just like, you know what, screw it. Like this is not working. So let's just call it a day, which means that I put off the things that I know are going to make me feel better, but are going to take time, effort, and energy, such as going outside and getting fresh air, doing some sort of mental health reset, a meditation, working out, the things that you don't want to do in the moment in order to pull you out of that current state of discouragement. And honestly, just distract yourself. Just get out of your own head for 45 minutes. So I would say the two things that I do, or I'm really trying to do when I feel this way, are exercise, go to the gym, lift heavy weights, and like just sweat it out. And really lean into sorry for any of you who aren't into this, but like, my spirituality of really just connecting with that positive energy and reconnecting with the hope and understanding that, everything's going to work out, everything's going to be okay. I'm going through these things to learn something new, and just really like mostly just circling back to gratitude, which sometimes is the last thing you want to do, is distract yourself and do difficult things and circle back to gratitude, because when things feel crappy, it's hard to find that. So, but that is what I do when I'm feeling discouraged, and also try and sleep a little bit.
Right. Usually some of this, is due to lack of sleep.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. What about you?
Those are great things.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thanks.
I mean, I think we're similar. I think, I try to exercise to clear my head. I also am working really hard on not listening to the first thought that necessarily comes in my mind. I'm learning a lot about thoughts and how they come in, but they're not necessarily true all the time.
Right.
And I'm learning about like scratching them if they're not positive or helpful.
Yeah.
And just letting them go
Right.
and trying to replace them with a positive thought.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to apply to every single one of these 4 Ds.
Yeah.
But, I've lately been able to say to myself, if I have a thought that's negative, that's not true. That's just a thought.
And we're human. Like there's something to be said for also not leaning into crazy toxic positivity, right? If you're like bypassing your true emotions and how you feel, you're going to end up having a mental breakdown. So acknowledging how you feel and really, but also honoring that the first negative, maybe toxic on the other end thought that crosses through your brain is probably not accurate also.
Right.
So, and one more thing that I do that I think is really important is have whoever it is, sister, sibling, brother, best friends. I'm very grateful to have all of those people, parents, obviously. But to have just kind of an open void of, hey, I need to talk to you for 20 minutes. I don't want advice. I don't need you to tell me what to do because I know I'm doing everything right. I just need you to hold space for me, and I need to just word vomit and get this out there. And then to have those people in your life that will react properly to that is everything.
And what's a proper reaction?
Hug? A hug, or I completely understand, or even if I don't understand, I'm meeting you where you're at and can agree that what you're talking about sounds like it sucks right now and it's going to get better, and it's okay that it's not okay right now. Just basically validating your feelings. And sometimes you don't want advice. Sometimes I just want to say, like, I'm frustrated and there's nothing you can do because I'm doing everything I can and I'm just waiting for to ride the wave.
Right.
So having outlets like that, and even if that means that you have to have a conversation with somebody and say, as a heads up, I need to just get this out here. Please do. I don't want your unsolicited advice. Just, I need you to be here for me. That helps with discouragement a lot. And then you feel a sense of relief after.
That's really great. That's great information for people.
This is a mental health podcast.
Yes. The next D that Ed Milet talked about was doubt. And, the work that we do is so riddled with, am I doing the right thing? Will this offer get accepted? Did we cross every T? Did we dot every I? Could I have done it differently?
Right.
If your client, if your house listing doesn't sell in the first weekend, which is really okay, by the way. If your buyers, don't win that offer. So, or even just, there's doubt, I think, that goes into everyone's minds about certain things.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the thoughts that I try to kick out immediately because we have to trust ourselves.
Right.
And we always know that we're operating at a level 10 and doing everything we can in every aspects of our lives, like other people. But doubt can really bring you to a dark place.
Yeah, it can really isolate.
Yeah, it really can. So, for me, I think a lot of my remedies are the same for all of these things. I mean, I actually like a very, very warm bath with a salt lamp on. No other lights. I just put the salt lamp on, and I will put on like the Calm app or do a quick 10-minute meditation. I'll do some box breathing and just try to bring myself back to this is just a thought.
Right.
Like you said, doing everything I can and everything's good.
Yeah. Doubt for me, I've had an interesting relationship with over the past few years. And I've really tried to, again, not in a sense of being toxic positivity, but in the sense of trying to enmesh realism and optimism together. So the way I try and handle doubt is do the mental switch of, if my brain is going, well, what if this doesn't work out? And what if, this happens? And all of the, usually, it's all the what ifs is the doubt. I try and flip it to the other side. Well, what if XYZ happens, meaning insert something positive here. What if it's better than you even thought it was? What if, and, again, not trying to go into this insanely unrealistic position, but just as much as I can have those really scary negative what ifs, what if I could also just have those really wildly ridiculous positive ones? So they both can come into your head at, as quickly, like you might as well just pop the positive in when the negative is swooping in. So, and it is a mental battle because then your brain says, okay, don't be ridiculous. And, of course not, whatever. So it becomes kind of a mental project. But that is something that I've tried to do try and just counteract every horrifically negative, doubtful what if with a positive one. And then the goal or ideally is to end up somewhere neutral. But that's just a little tool that I do.
I think this sort of connects with something that you do that you've taught me to do, which is manifestation. And I think that when you have doubt, if you are practicing some sort of manifestation, it can take the place of the doubt. And that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
And so talk a little bit about that. I think it's incredible.
Thank you.
I think it's powerful. And I think it works.
It
and
does.
I think it works for you.
Totally.
And I practiced it on my own, and it worked for me.
And we say, and it
sounds really woo-woo, and we're
so losery.
Like
I say this not, and we say it not in that way. It's more of just, I don't know how to say it without
it's creating your world. It's visualizing your world.
It's really tapping into the energy that you want to exude and that you want to be around. So, for example, I live in the city, and when I am at my office in Newton, or I'm on showings all day until late. And one thing for me is that I'm always, when I parking, I live in the city. I don't have, a driveway. So I have just created this little manifestation game in my head of tapping into the excitement and the gratitude of, oh my God, of course. I just pull up and find a spot in front of my house every time. And I really do usually. And that was just an easy, very low lift thing energetically for me to tap into and just to force myself to believe that I would have. And you can ask my friends and they and you can attest that all these little things, if you can play the mental game with yourself and it doesn't feel fake and it doesn't feel crazy delusional, it doesn't feel, like this far, far, far reach. If you can do the low lifts of just this tiny little energetic shift, it makes a difference. So I say this with take all of this with a grain of salt. I think there's a time and place for realism, and then marrying the optimism with it and the gratitude can really make some magic. So that's my world of all of that stuff. And there's a million examples, but I won't freak you out just yet. So that's like a tiny example of, the way I kind of deal with doubt. And I'm glad I've taught you to deal with doubt.
You have. And I actually used exactly your method. I mean, the day that I was with you recently, well,
the method.
It is. It's yours to me.
Okay.
To me, it's your method. But the other night when I said you're going home late and are you going to get a parking spot? And you said, of course I am, because the universe loves me and there's going to be a parking spot right in front of my apartment. And I looked at Dad and I said,
Yeah, right.
God, we're going to have to make sure she gets a parking spot or
She's going to turn around.
Right. Because once in a while you end up coming home if you
Mm-hmm.
can't get a parking spot. So lo and behold, I get a text message from you saying the spot was waiting for me right in front of my apartment, as I said. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I was driving into the city and I had an appointment. And I could see that parking was going to be a huge problem.
This is what realtors manifest, parking.
I thought that I left early enough. But as I drove toward the city, I started to realize that the parking was going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always drive into the city. I Uber or I take the train or whatever. So I wasn't used to the timing of the car situation. Anyway, I started to think, wow, I'm going to be late for my appointment. I can't believe it. I should have taken the train. I should have called an Uber. And I started to get very anxious. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I said, and I pictured there's going to be a parking spot right in front of where I need to be because the universe loves me and they're going to provide this. It's going to be waiting for me. And I got to my appointment. It was on Newbury Street. And right across the street from where I needed to be was an open space. And so I was smiling from ear to ear. And again, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but I'm just agreeing with you that when you shift energetically, I realized that the anxiety wasn't going to help me.
Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to is like choosing. Like
right.
You get to,
it's a choice.
You get to choose. And does it work out every single time? No. But you get to choose, and why not focus on, even if you can't control it, which a lot of things we can't, why not choose to focus on the positive what if instead of the negative.
Right. So
that's really, it's that simple. And I think it can just be a little game sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes you're really not in the mood and you just need to sit in the negativity and refresh, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But when you have the space to do the switch, it's helpful.
Fantastic. So
what's the next one?
The next one is delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm honestly trying to reach back in my mind to see if I remember what exactly he was saying about delusion.
It feels similar to doubt.
I think
of like
delusion
might
or delusion may be that you are telling yourself that something is one way when it's really another.
Right.
In a situation.
Right.
And you're convincing yourself that
it has to be this way. It's going to be this way.
It is this way when it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I think what he was trying to say is that we have to step back and ask the question, is this real?
Mm-hmm.
And if not,
what's the evidence?
And if the evidence isn't there, to identify what is real.
Right.
And not let delusion stop you.
Yes.
So I thought that was sort of interesting.
It is.
It's not something I typically think about.
No, me either. But it reminds me of a few conversations I've had with some of my friends of, when you're in your day-to-day life and you're in certain scenarios and you can get anxious or you can start to feel negatively and really create a delusional state of what's going on that only you're experiencing that isn't the reality. One of my best friends tells me to pull back and literally just go through the facts.
Right.
Go through the facts.
Exactly.
A, B, C, D, E, write it down if you have to. Just go through it in your head of what is actually factually happening in front of me right now, and then let me guide my emotions from there. And in, business and the real estate world, it's a lot. There's a lot of, I have to do a lot of pulling back and, looking at my environment around me and not getting caught up in the exhaustion and the negativity and the taking on my clients' emotions and really looking at the facts of, when things are difficult, all I can pride myself on is that I'm doing 110% for my clients. I'm, going through my process. I'm getting their offers accepted. I'm giving everyone the 110% of our value and our team's positioning, our listing presentation, everything. So even when things are difficult and the delusion in front of me is like, everything sucks and this is really hard and I can't believe I'm a realtor and what am I doing? I look at the facts and that brings me back down to earth of how much success I've had in a short amount of time, how much we've built together, and the value that if I wasn't me, would I hire me? And the answer is yes. So, and those are the facts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I also think that delusion comes into play when you want to get in touch with somebody, a friend or somebody important in your life or a past client or, that you haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I am guilty of having the delusion. Why would they want to, talk to me? I haven't reached out to this friend in so many years. I don't know what happened, how the ball got dropped. Everybody got busy. I wonder if they're upset with me. And if I play the evidence game and say, well, I never did anything to upset them. And the last time we spoke, things were good. And it always, when I pick up the phone,
how are you? So nice to hear from you.
I can't believe you're on the phone. I was just thinking about you, or, when can we get together, or let's have lunch. So, delusion can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And you have to really make sure that you don't let it get the best of you.
Check.
Yeah.
Last one
is incredible. It surprised me. It was delay, and how delay can, lead to low productivity. And again, a lot of people that have delay or procrastination are talking to themselves and telling themselves lies about, this is why I can't do this, or this is why, I'm going to do it next week, or, or, I'm not going to reach out to this person right now because they don't want to hear from me because their mother, needed surgery and they're not ready to talk to me.
Right.
Whatever it is, delay is bad.
Yeah, I'm a big list girl.
Yes, I'm
a big list, productivity, habit stacking girl. And I always feel so much better when I do the thing that was the thing that I didn't want to do the most. When I do the things that I really don't want to and they're out of the way, there's no, like when I get to fill in that circle checkbox.
I know that really makes you happy.
Oh my God, it's euphoric.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's what he needs in terms of delay of having kind of the,
going through your checklist, taking care of the things.
Procrastination is, sometimes a product of when people are anxious and they don't want to do things because or whatever. But delay is,
it can be lack of confidence,
right? Anxiety, anything, or just avoidance. But getting those things done that you really just don't want to do, but then you get them done, feel on top of the world. So I try and prioritize on my to-do list, on the top half, the things that if I end my day and nothing below the first 5 items gets done, it's fine because the first 5 items were highest on my priority list and my day is a success because of that. And sometimes those items are really things that I don't want to do, or they're super difficult, or they're super time consuming and draining, or it's difficult conversations. But if I get them done, then I get to sleep at night knowing that at least I got the hardest part of my day over with, even if that means I didn't get numbers 5 through 15 completed. So that's a little hack.
That's fantastic. I was talking to somebody once and he was telling me that his father's motto, the thing that he taught him that he carries with him every day, are the words, do it now. And there's no time like the present.
Right. And that's a big Ed Milet thing.
Yes.
He's the whole, the power of one more. If you do it, just do it. One more degree, one more, at the gym too. You're done. Just do one more rep. Because you feel like you're in control.
And it's progress, not perfection.
Yes.
And I think delay is connected to perfection. I think
that's how we felt with the podcast.
Right,
was we put it off
exactly
because we were like, well, we don't have this, and it's not going to be perfect, and it has to be 110%. And then we've had such incredible feedback on just the couple episodes we've put out so far, and just because we got going,
right,
and we started it, and it's not perfect, but we're in our groove, and it's going to get better with time, and we're making progress on a goal that we've wanted to do for years now. So
right, absolutely. So, to wrap up, do not let discouragement, doubt, delusion, or delay affect your life.
And if they do, hopefully, maybe this gave you a few tools to tap into when you're battling with any of those, as you will,
as we all do,
especially entrepreneurs, but anybody, parents, everyone. So hopefully you had a few takeaways from this episode, and we love to interact with you. Let us know. Slide into our DMs. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us in the comments below of the way you handle these things. We're open to learning. If there's any other, podcast episodes, outlets, like we love the Ed Milet Show, we're open to anything. So definitely engage with us, interact with us, and we'll see you next week.
Fabulous. See you next week. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on today's adventure with the Open Door podcast. Thank you for letting us share the beauty of Boston and our communities with you. If any of these stories or information has resonated, please subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you may listen, and join us on Instagram for a daily dose of valuable information and warmth. From Melanie and Margie Gundersheim, a huge thank you for spending your time with us here. Until next time.